Hey folks, Fractality here. Just wanted to do another weekly forecast for you. Today's Tuesday. This is for the week of May 29th to June 2nd. I did not, normally I would post this on the weekends, but seeing as how Monday was a bank holiday in the US and the EU, I wanted to just wait until today. Right, so let's get into it. I would say that my opinion on the market is still bullish. However, last week we kind of came from mid-range to premium. Now we're in premium. And so it's a matter of, are we going to run for these highs or not? Okay, that's the question. All the next areas of liquidity really are these highs, and there's a big void as well for the dollar up here, but that's so far away that we can easily see price come back down into the expansion it just made. Right, there's a daily fair value gap here on dollar that has not been touched, that we could see that get rebalanced, retraced into, and then go higher. That would be an easier trade once that retracement happened, and then to take it to whatever the external high is of the leg before it retraces. Right now it's a little harder for me. So we've already taken out the previous week's high, but we did that kind of I would say like randomly. For me, there's not really any way to safely engage with that move. Now I'm thinking, to be honest, I'm like hesitant to trade it. I don't have a strong opinion. I think we're bullish, but I'm not trying to long right now. There's no liquidity for me to enter on, and we could easily fail this raid of the previous week's high and then start heading lower, right? So it's really 50-50 for me, and that's fine, because last week was so clear, this week not as clear. But let's look at some other markets. We've got EU, pretty much the same thing. We've already filled in this gap, which is nice. We may want to retrace for premium, maybe this swing high. What else is there? Yeah, possibly, but we also might not, because we're at the point where if we do the quarters, right, we're starting to get into that point where you see acceleration, and so we may just end up cleanly running for the lows. And so if price continues to stay heavy, and then let's say like throughout the week maybe it engineers some liquidity, maybe consolidation or something, we could see a raid and then continue going lower. I would be interested in that, but we nothing I can do right now, because it's just coming, almost like it's coming back online, right, from the holidays. GU, pretty much the same. The objectives are easier. What do I mean by that? I mean that the lows, the near-term liquidity are nearer, and so price will have an easier time getting to those levels, whereas on dollar it's a little bit like, what are we reaching for, right? So we could go for those, but I'm not sure. Aussie's clearly heavy. Everything's heavy, no doubt that it's heavy. It's just a matter of, that's only a part of it. We need to be able to frame risk-reward trades within this context, and that's the part that we're missing right now. And so, like I said, because last week was so easy and provided so many great opportunities, I'm not rushing, right? But yeah, definitely still heavy. Just pay attention to the premium arrays and previous week's low, this imbalance here. Just pay attention to it and see how price reacts. when it gets to those levels, right? Like I said, maybe the dollar wants to reject the previous week's high. We don't know yet. We have red news in New York, late New York, 10 o'clock. So that's something to just keep in mind. But keep going. Metals are a little clearer, I would say. Now we pretty much have equal lows on gold, although I think gold is a lot sloppier. Seasonally bullish, but it's obviously kind of not that bullish right now. Although that big gap higher might force it to be bullish. It's a little unclear for me, so I'm not really trading gold. But I'll go over to platinum. Platinum has done exactly what I said it would do, or what I was anticipating at least. And that's great. Seasonally bearish right now, as you can see. Seasonally bearish, so we could really see this thing falling. It's quite heavy. There's loads of liquidity to take. This is as you should know, low resistance liquidity round if we do end up getting there. And now, as far as like the present week, this is what I've talked about a few times. We retraced this expansion, rated the liquidity into the fair value gap on the 4-hour, and now we have shifted after that raid. So I would expect it to come down here, near term. So we'll be watching for that. That's just, expectation. It doesn't have to do that, but that's what I would expect. And what would invalidate that would be maybe if it started to come back above this high and then going higher, then we'd have to wait and see. Copper is the same. Copper is still heavy. We have equal lows, which is cool. Seasonally bearish as well. The 4-hour is now displaced lower after retracing. So the only thing about that, yeah, I think it's okay. I do think it's heavy. Yeah, I think it's clearly heavy, but it's the kind of thing where, are we just retracing to fill in this gap, or did we actually shift, right? So it gets a little bit tricky. So I won't say for sure, but I do think it's generally heavy. All right. Oil. Oil's been consolidating for a couple of weeks after all this big move here. Looks like we rated the consolidation, and now we are a bit heavy, right? We rated it and shifted lower with displacement, and so we might want to go for this low here, which is the consolidation low. But I don't have high conviction in that. And then the indices is kind of in a similar situation as last week, where it's just weird. It's counter the dollar. Sorry, not counter the dollar. It's doing the same thing as dollar, where normally you would want to see it kind of doing the opposite. But it's clearly bullish. I don't know. The daily's bullish. We did just take significant levels on ES, but it just seems like it'll keep going. No reason to turn around at the moment. And the DAX. DAX was interesting. I think I mentioned this on the midweek update. We took out the significant high from 2022 and rejected. And now it's a question of what do we do next. I actually don't know. I just have no idea. Yeah, so this is the reality of trading, where sometimes it's super clear and sometimes it's not. And I think it's really important to understand that trading is, you do need analysis, you do need a directional sort of premise, but ultimately trading is about risk reward opportunities where you have an edge. And so if the market isn't providing you those scenarios where you feel like you know where it's gonna go, then there's nothing to do. And the problem with retail traders is that they think they should catch every single move, right? If you're a good trader, you should catch all the moves, right? That makes sense. Like, you should be able to know it's gonna consolidate and then go lower and then go higher. But it's not true. Like, in my opinion, that's bullshit. I believe that there are only certain moments where you can really know or have a strong expectation of what price is gonna do. Just to give you an example, let's say over here, what's a good one? Okay, let's just say, okay, here we go. On this day, on dollar, we had sort of an expansion lower, and then we consolidated. We created equal highs, okay? And so where's the low before the equal highs? It's right here. Okay, so let's go down to like the 3 minute or lower time frame. Okay, and so you see this consolidation, this expansion consolidation, rate on the consolidation. Okay, once that fails, even on the 1 minute, okay, once that fails, especially with displacement, we now have the premise for a reasonable expectation the price is going to seek the liquidity below, right? Because it took on the liquidity above, now they need to offset to the liquidity below, right? So from this point forward, we have an edge, basically. It's fair to say that it's going to go lower. But from this point backwards, there is, in my opinion, no edge to be had, because you need all of this context to give you the context for your edge. Okay? So that's what I mean when I say it's not about catching every move. Okay? So hopefully this was helpful. Sorry that it's not like I can make a big call like I did last week, but that's how it is. So I hope you guys have a good week. Take it easy, and talk to you later.